When we think of farming, it's pretty easy to picture these simple, old-fashioned scenes. But modern agriculture, it's way more complex. It's a highly coordinated system where taking care of animals isn't just a nice side effect of producing food, it's actually an essential scientific goal. Okay, let's really dive into what that means.
We all have this kind of perfect, idyllic image in our heads, right? But what does good animal care truly mean in the 21st century? It's about so much more than just green pastures. It's about a deep, scientific understanding of what an animal actually needs to thrive.
So here's our game plan for this explainer. We'll start by looking at the big picture goals of livestock management. Then we'll get specific and define what animal welfare actually is and introduce the world-famous 5 freedoms. From there, we'll see how those freedoms are put into practice on the farm, and finally, we'll explore why good welfare is a huge win for everyone involved.
All right, first up, let's set the stage. We need to get our heads around the fact that modern livestock management isn't just one thing. It's this multifaceted discipline with several really key objectives. So officially, farm animal management is defined as the coordinated care of animals. But think of it less like a simple checklist and more like a complex web. Every single piece, the feeding, the housing, the breeding, the health, it's all interconnected, and it's all working together to hit some very specific goals. And here are those key objectives. Now look closely. Notice how promoting animal welfare isn't some afterthought tacked on at the end. It's listed right alongside improving productivity and profitability. This is a really crucial shift in thinking. Modern farming sees these things not as competing goals, but as essential parts of one successful system. Okay, so we've established that welfare is a key goal, but what is it exactly? This is where we zoom in from the big idea of management to the very specific science of animal welfare. Animal welfare isn't just some vague, feel-good idea. It's a real, scientific concept. It refers to an animal's complete state. We're talking physical, mental, and emotional. It's all about how well an animal is coping with its environment, and this is something that can actually be measured through things like its health, its comfort, and its behavior.
And this brings us to a really important distinction that often gets confused. Animal welfare is a science. It's focused on assessing an animal's quality of life. That's totally different from animal rights, which is a philosophical position on whether humans should even be using animals in the first place. For our purposes today, we are focused squarely on the science of welfare.
So, how do we take all this science of welfare and turn it into something practical? Well, that's where the 5 freedoms come in. They give us a clear, internationally recognized blueprint for what good animal care looks like.
These 5 principles are basically the bedrock of modern animal care. What makes this framework so powerful is that it's holistic. It recognizes that an animal's well-being isn't just about survival, food and water. It's also about its psychological state, like being free from fear and having the ability to act like the animal it is. So it's one thing to have these great principles on paper, but what do they actually look like in the real world? Let's take a look at how farmers take this theory and apply it on the farm every single day.
Yeah, this is the key question, isn't it? How do you take these 5 big ideas and turn them into concrete actions on a working farm? Let's break it down, freedom by freedom.
To provide freedom from discomfort, it is all about the animal's environment. We're talking about designing housing with enough space, good ventilation, comfortable flooring. It also means having shelter from the elements and making sure the living area is kept dry and clean. Literally every detail contributes to that animal's physical comfort. Next up, freedom from hunger and thirst. Now this is way more than just putting out some food. It means constant access to fresh, clean water. It means providing a diet that is scientifically balanced for that specific species, and even for their particular stage of life, like if they're pregnant. The goal here is optimal nutrition, not just basic survival.
Freedom from pain, injury, and disease. This one relies heavily on proactive health management. This is where veterinary science is absolutely critical. It involves preventative stuff like vaccinations, strict biosecurity to keep diseases from ever getting in, and of course, being able to spot problems early and provide fast, effective treatment.
And finally, we get to the really crucial psychological side of welfare, which covers those last 2 freedoms. Making sure animals can express their normal behaviors and are free from fear, this is all about their mental and emotional state. This means enough space to move, chances to socialize, and using gentle, low-stress handling techniques. It's the difference between an animal that is merely surviving and one that is truly thriving.
So we've seen what good welfare looks like in practice, but what are the results? Well, as it turns out, focusing on animal welfare isn't just the right thing to do, it actually leads to better outcomes across the board. Now this is the crucial takeaway right here. There is a direct, positive link between high welfare standards and farm productivity. It is not a trade-off. Healthier, less stressed animals are simply more productive animals. They give more milk, they grow better, and they need fewer vet visits. At the end of the day, investing in animal welfare is also an investment in a more efficient and profitable farm.
Now, of course, hitting these high standards isn't always a walk in the park. Farmers face very real-world challenges, from economic pressures and gaps in infrastructure to just needing to update some older, traditional practices. It's really important to acknowledge that putting all this into action requires resources, education, and support.
So looking ahead, the future of animal welfare is incredibly dynamic. Technology is playing a massive role, with new sensors that can monitor an animal's well-being in real time. We're also seeing a huge push from consumers who are demanding higher welfare standards, and that in turn is driving innovation and new policies.
And all of that leaves us with a pretty fascinating question to chew on. The 5 freedoms have been our guide for decades, but as technology gives us this even deeper, more incredible understanding of an animal's experience, their emotional states, their preferences, what might come next? What could a potential 6th freedom even look like in the future of animal care?